The Dogtown we walked back into was different than the Dogtown we walked out of. You wouldn't think a dog shelter could change so much in one day, but the turnover could be dramatic. Sometimes an entire church group sweeps in and adopts 20 dogs. Other times, animal control brings in 30 dogs in one day. When you're at Dogtown day in and day out, you don't notice the changes as much as you do when you've been away. It started with green eggs and ham. When front desk saw Metalhead carrying the book, she went wadoodle. They hadn't been able to find green eggs and ham anywhere. It seemed impossible that Metalhead had found it. Of course, he hadn't found it. He hadn't found it because our copy had been eaten. Where did he find it? Management kept asking. How did he know how important that book was? Seriously? There wasn't a dog in Dogtown who hadn't seen how important green eggs and ham was to Quinn. Humans underestimate dogs. They think when they say sit, lie down, roll over, and we don't comply, it's because we don't understand. If humans went around telling other humans sit, lie down, roll over, do you think they would do it? Never. Management took photos of Metalhead with green eggs and ham and put them on the Dogtown website. They got Metalhead brand new Reading Buddy sweater and gave him a permanent spot on Reading Buddy row. In all the fuss Metalhead, they ignored me, which was fine. I didn't begrudge Metalhead the attention. There was no way I could complain that it had... Okay. There was no way I could explain that it had been Mouse who had found the book. I was trying to adjust to the idea that Dogtown was my forever home when I felt a snap of a leash on my collar. I tell you one thing, Chance, you're never going to run away again, management said, her face grumpy and wrinkled as a bloodhound. She marched me and walked me down the walk of shame to the basement. This is how it was. Metalhead was a genius, and I was a bad dog. That night, I was so hungry. I had a hard time leaving kibble for Mouse, but I knew his brothers and sisters would be hungry too, so I set aside 7 kibbles. Then I licked my bowl and licked it again, and a third time, because why not? Some ways I was happy to be back, but some ways I was happy to be back. I complained about the basement being cold, but compared to the snow outside, it really wasn't bad. Anywho, placement in the basement was temporary. There are consequences for runaway, but they shouldn't last long. I was management's lucky dog, and she needed me. That night, high up in the rafters, in the dim light of one bulb up there, I saw the shadow of Mouse acting out our journey for his brothers and sisters. He performed the whole thing, accumulating with the moment he stole the shrimp. When he was done, his siblings clapped their hands, and I yipped appreciation. I was grateful for my friends at Dogtown, but I couldn't stop thinking about what Metalhead said. Was it possible Professor Besser's sabbatical wasn't 6 months? Was it possible it had lasted for 1 year? Mouse was more worried I'd been sent to the basement than I was. After he finished his performance, he brought out a deck of cards and placed a 5 of hearts on my chain link fence. He was sure it would get me out of there. It had worked so well before. But in the morning, management took the card and locked the deck up. It was an old trick and it didn't work anymore. I would have to wait until Wednesday. Poker night rolled around. I'd rather be management's lucky dog, and and poker night rolled around. Then I'd be management's lucky dog, and I'd get the run of the place again. When metal dogs misbehave, they blame the malfunctioner. When a real dog misbehaves, they blame the dog. Even so, Metalhead hadn't chosen to be the genius. It was management who made that call. Was it possible that metal dogs couldn't help who they were any more than we could? I no longer believed Metalhead was a hopeless boohoo either. Now I thought he was a courageous dog who had returned to Jimmy's house to find out what happened. It had been a painful journey, but when it was over, there was a place in that dog's heart for Quinn that hadn't been there before.